Thank you, panelists, for being here. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for acknowledging the fact that we take on the hard issues, because it is something that we have no choice to do. This is something that no matter where we go, this is the first question we get from our businesses is how do we get access to capital and how do we get these things done. I introduced the House Resolution 3723, which does take the 7A loan from $2 million to $3 million and increases the ARC loan from 35 to 50. Because I believe that we take a good program, we want to increase it. I'm glad that the chairman asked about the average 7A loan, because even though we wanted to make it better, we do acknowledge that even though people want to make it even bigger, the average loans aren't anywhere near what people say that they should be. What we're trying to accomplish with this legislation is an increase in lenders to participate in the 7A, and I often hear small business owners in my district say that they can't find bankers that are going to offer these 7A loans, so especially in my rural part of my district. So even in this legislation that I have, we're seeking to address this program or these problems by creating a rural lender outreach program, and I know that the small bank outreach program is going to seek to increase the 7A participation among credit unions and community banks. So I guess my question is, and before I ask my question, I also want to say that I have banks in my district that don't want to offer the ARC loans because they're saying that they're afraid that if a person defaults on the ARC loan, that the SBA is not reimbursing them, or it's very difficult to get the reimbursement even though they're guaranteed at 100%. So I'd like anybody on the panel that would like to answer that, if you're having trouble getting reimbursed from the SBA, if there are any defaults. But actually I want anybody, and Mr. Menzies or Mr. Sekula, to discuss how you think what we could specifically do to increase the participation of people and of banks and credit unions using this 7A program. So if we could start with Mr. Sekula.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think for entry into the 7A program from the credit union perspective, only less than 3% of credit unions out of close to 8,000 credit unions are participating in offering SBA loans. It's a very small percentage, but the average credit union size is only $92 million. As compared to the bank average size is probably close to $1.6, $1.7 billion. So as a result, their resources are very limited into that. And so some of the stipulations that are put in place in H.R. 3723 will remove some of those by the preferred lending steps or hoops that you have to jump through in order to become a preferred lender in order to offer them 7A loans. In addition to that, as I mentioned earlier, removing the cap of the 12.25% will provide some opportunity for that to take place, as well as increasing the cap limit for member business loan qualification of $50,000 to $250,000. And I really think that without them having to add additional staff, that's going to be a drain on resources that can work through the SBA program, that we'll find more credit unions participate in the 7A programs.
And Mr. Menzies, and I just want you to know, everywhere I travel in my district, I say the community bankers did not get us into this mess. We love our community bankers, and please, if you would like to add to how do we increase participation.
God bless you, Representative.
I do, everywhere I go.
As I mentioned in my testimony, supporting a small lender outreach program is very important. Education is important. I get an email every week from our local SBA office. Mr. Knox sends me an email and educates us on what's going on, and I think education really is the key. I have also heard, have not experienced or witnessed or personally seen examples of the SBA not paying on guarantees, but I have heard the same thing of a technical default in the loan documents existing and having trouble getting paid, but personally haven't experienced that. But I think training is the issue, and training loan officers. Loan officers like to do deals. They like to get things done. And when you bring in this infrastructure of new documents and new process and new procedure, lenders are inclined to say, you know, I'd rather go this path than this path. So
are you saying education is the primary barrier from banks and credit unions?
I think it's the primary opportunity. I think good lenders allow the SBA to be one tool in their bag of tricks. and they always consider the SBA solution as a piece of the whole solution. Rarely is it the total solution anyhow. But training banks and lenders on how to access and use the SBA, in my opinion, is a great opportunity.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I yield back.